It's Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. I'm Scott Sexsmith with Michael Friscolanti. Welcome back to Closer Look.
Thanks, Scott. Nice to see you. Day 2.
We made it.
Day 2. We said we're going to do a daily podcast, and we went to day 2. So
and that's only because the boss didn't see episode 1.
The streak continues. Lou Gehrig.
Actually, that's not true. He's very invested in this.
No, he is. I know. We joke. He is very invested. Well,
he's excited about it.
That's why we're here, my friend.
Great show yesterday. Former MP Charlie Angus. He's a beauty.
Yeah.
Like him or hate him, he's always got something to say.
Yeah, we've already seen mixed reactions from people, but it was interesting. And you forget just how much of a veteran he was in the House of Commons, a respected guy.
For sure.
On all sides of the aisle, right? He knew his stuff. And just you felt the passion of his representation, like how much he cared for that large riding he represented. And I think we talked about it after. What just struck me, the idea that how big those Northern Ontario ridings already are.
Huge.
And then to be expanding by 20,000 square kilometers.
That is crazy.
That's not, then you had to go to communities you've never been to. Yeah, it was a really enlightening conversation.
So you imagine showing up to work one day and the boss says, look, I love what you're doing so much so I'm going to expand what you're doing, by that much.
And it's a whole other episode we could talk about. And those redistributed ridings were very controversial because Northern Ontario is already such a wide swath of area you have to cover as whether you're a provincial MPP or a federal MP. They're big ridings, and it's It's hard to get from one end to the other.
One thing we're going to start doing on this show when we're able to is read some of the comments because, as you know, the show goes right across the province and, of course, beyond online. But we thought, you know what, it's kind of fun because people get engaged and they're vocal and they have opinions and they've got things to say. So we thought it'd be kind of cool.
And that's a great point. And just to remind people that because the podcast runs across the network, the commenting is global on these things. So if you are living in Orillia, for example, and you comment on Orillia Matters, people throughout the chain will see those comments. Or if you comment on Sioux Today or Toronto Today, those comments will go on the bottom of the story everywhere. Absolutely.
From Sault Ste. Marie, this individual says, Mr. Angus should simply stop talking. And then I love the follow-up from Sudbury. Wow, you seem like you're fun at parties. Charlie has the same freedom of expression that you've just exercised to tell someone else they shouldn't have that same right. The hypocrisy is astounding. True. And finally, from Barry Boo, great username, in Pelham. Charlie didn't dare run for office in the election. His party came in a distant third behind the Tories and the Libs, a guy who doesn't know, quote, the game she is over, end quote. I think by him not running, he would know that the game is over.
You could get lost in our comment strings. There's a lot of interesting enlightening folks.
The term rabbit hole comes to mind, and we've all gone down it a time or two. Charlie, very vocal in his stance against U.S. President Donald Trump.
Yes, it's. There's part of me that would like to see how successful this resistance tour that he's on is. Is it something that's got a lot of momentum behind it right now, and in a couple months it'll fizzle out? Who knows? But definitely had some strong words for the U.S. president.
And speaking of strong words, the U.S. president had some strong words this morning as he was getting set to board Air Force One. A word of caution here, if you don't like F-bombs, or maybe you do like to see the president of the United States drop one from time to time, this would be the time to maybe turn the volume down. This is unbelievable. Let's roll the clip, Derek.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have to respond to Iran on this?
Well, America there is your president being anything but presidential. Imagine had this happened yesterday when Charlie was here, the additional fodder that would have given him, not just for our chat, but for the Resistance tour.
Yeah, we'd love to see his reaction. Definitely he'll have some more material for the tour when he's out there.
Yeah, okay. So today on the program, it's somewhat Canadiana, really, when you break it down and think about it.
Yeah, we're going to go from America to Canada. And I know we talked yesterday about how this show is going to be a wide variety of subjects, from the super serious, a little more fun. This is kind of a little more on the softer side, but still really interesting to me. When I showed you the photos of this thing, it really popped out to me that it's something we need to talk about. They've launched Canada's first ever beach cleaning robot. It's kind of like a Zamboni for the beach, and it helps us. It's the fight against plastics in the Great Lakes, which is a subject we talked about on our old podcast, and we've covered a lot here at Village. But it's this really cool device that's going to be basically deployed to certain beaches around Ontario on a test basis to kind of clean the beach of plastics and other litter. And we're going to talk to one of the people who's behind this new robot and how it works, what the horsepower is, and what kind of stuff it can clean up. I think it's definitely a talker.
Very pleased to have on the program with us Melissa DeYoung. She is the CEO of Pollution Probe. Melissa, welcome to the program. What an exciting week. Canada's first ever beach cleaning robot has launched. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for the opportunity to talk about it today. This is something we've been working on for quite a few months now, and there was no roadmap for how to bring the first beach cleaning robot to Canada, so we were figuring it all out, but we're very excited to say that it's now in use. It's an electric beach cleaning robot, which is designed to sift the sand and to remove plastic and other debris without harming the environment. And it's really effective in public spaces. We're piloting it initially at Sibbald Point Provincial Park, but we will be moving it around this summer. We're very excited to finally have this underway.
I've read a lot about how it's been compared to the Zamboni for the beach. Do you like that term, or is that inaccurate?
I think visually it does look a lot like a Zamboni for the beach. Slightly different function, but certainly does look like that. It actually has some military-grade technology included in it as well. So
Great. It's bulletproof.
Yeah. Well, the front end does look a lot like a tank, actually.
Yeah. So you guys didn't design this. Did you get this from somewhere else, or has it been out? Has it been around for a while?
Yes, we procured it from a company out of France called Porlu, and we have, through our Great Lakes Plastic Cleanup Initiative, which is a binational initiative that my organization, Pollution Probe, co-leads with the Council of the Great Lakes Region. Our partners, the Council of the Great Lakes Region, and some of their partners in the U.S. have been piloting them for a couple of years now. So that technology has been in use, and we've been able to see how effective it is, and sort of pushed us to keep up the good fight to get one into Canada.
Melissa, let's talk dollars and cents. How much?
Oh, goodness. I don't have the figure off the top of my head, but it is quite expensive.
It doesn't look cheap.
No, it's not. It's not. But again, it's not only effective at removing plastic from the environment. It's an amazing public engagement tool. We're collecting data on everything that we find. So it has, if you look at how much it costs to do cleanup in general, we're working on trying to do the preventative side alongside the cleanup effort so that we can avoid further costs down the road.
Let's talk some of those specifics. How much can it pick up, say, in an 8-hour span, and what kind of stuff have you picked up? What have you found so far?
Well, we've only been piloting it for a very short time in Canada, so we're still learning what that looks like here. We do know from what we've seen on the U.S. side that we're thinking this is really going to change our data profile. Our initiative's been running for this is our 6th season. We started in 2020. Most of the technologies we use on the Canadian side are located in the water, so we tend to find a lot of very small pieces of plastic that are known as microplastics that have broken down from larger pieces over time. We know that with the BeBot, the beach cleaning robot, we're capturing a lot more of the macroplastics, the large pieces of plastic, before they actually enter the water. So we do know that we're going to have a shift in our data profile and what we're seeing coming off the beach versus what we find in the water. The BeBot itself has a sieving capacity of about 100 liters per cycle. So that's about the equivalent to around 14 basketballs worth of debris. Wow. It can clean up to 3,000 meters squared per hour. We won't be collecting that much. We tend to move very slowly because we are sorting and characterizing what we find, but it can cover quite a large span of the beach in a very short period of time.
Now, Melissa, it's not every day that you go to the beach and see what some might call a Zamboni on the beach sifting through the sand, but some of the reaction from people who have seen it, what are they saying about it?
Well, they're very excited. I think, as I said earlier, one of the most important parts of this project for us is having that public engagement piece. And, having a discussion about plastic and microplastic in the water is one thing, but actually seeing this in person, doing what it's meant to be doing is a whole other thing entirely. And part of our effort is to bring the community in, to have people see what plastic pollution looks like firsthand, because it is quite different than litter on the street. And once that connection's made, people tend to be very invested in being a part of the solution and what they can do to make sure that they're not contributing to plastic out in the environment. So we get a lot of questions about what it is, what it's doing, and the number one question we get asked is what we're finding. So that is those conversations start from.
It's definitely a talker. That's what happened to us when we saw it this morning. We just started talking about it, had a whole bunch, which is great. So if you stumble across it, I can see why people ask a lot of questions. You've looked at this idea that this is one small part of the Great Lakes plastic cleanup that's been going on for a few years. Can you tell us what that is? Well, why? But also, this is an obvious dumb question, but why is that so important? Why is the issue of plastics in the Great Lakes is a major issue? It's a major problem. Why it's so important?
Sure. Well, the Great Lakes, we know, are one of the largest freshwater systems in the world. They have enormous, ties to cultural and economic aspects. So they're very important, not only to the region, but to the world. Back, I would say 2018-ish, we started to have a lot of discussions around the fact that, there's increasing attention being paid to ocean plastics and the huge issue that we have with plastic in our oceans. But we knew that freshwater was an equal part of that conversation. Whatever's happening in our freshwater ultimately finds its way out to the ocean, where it contributes to those broader impacts. Modeling has shown that about 10 million kilograms of plastic are entering our Great Lakes every year, and that the concentrations of microplastics on par with what we find in the ocean. So we knew this was a big issue. It's obviously a complex issue. There are multiple sources and pathways for plastic. So we were really looking at what can we do to help contribute not only to, again, removing plastic, but contribute to an understanding of what's actually happening in our lakes, because there was not a lot of data at that time. So our Great Lakes plastic cleanup really came about out of those discussions. And we wanted to make use of technology. So our initiative has now over 160 technologies installed across the binational Great Lakes region at over 225 sites. We started out our first year with about 21 sites, and we've grown, exponentially from there. So we make use of the technology, as I said, to remove the plastic or to prevent it from entering the lakes. But the other key pieces of our program are that we are collecting data on everything that we find, and we sort and characterize those different types of plastic. And that gives us a sense of not only what we're finding in different lakes across each of the 5 Great Lakes, but also what are the potential sources. And we bring the community into that. We have volunteers come out and help us do that sorting and characterizing. And all of this information is publicly available, but it's also used for important policy development. Our program has contributed to policy development already, and discussions with industry and trying to figure out some of those longer term solutions.
That's a great idea. You kind of answered the question I was going to ask, but why this data is so important. When you're able to collect that kind of specific data, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, it's the first step, I think, in coming up with any type of solution. You really have to understand what it is you're dealing with. So there aren't any sort of long-term established monitoring programs in the Great Lakes, and we use community science to provide information with the lack of that scientific monitoring program. So communities can come in, and again, this gives us a really good sense of how much we're finding in different areas. We know, for example, that urban areas, we find way more plastic than in rural areas. We have different breakdowns of the types of plastic we collect in different lakes. So there's a lot more that needs to be done in terms of understanding plastic pollution, because it is so complicated and complex, and it's found everywhere, all throughout the water column, all throughout the region. So this is certainly not the only effort that's required, but we are working very hard to play a part in informing those discussions and making sure that the solutions that we do develop are actually based in what we're finding actually out in the environment.
Not sure if you've finalized a summer schedule yet, Melissa, but where could one look for and find the BeBot?
Well, it's going to be piloted at a number of different provincial parks this summer. It's starting out, as we talked about, at Sibbald Point Provincial Park. It will then move to Inver-Huron Provincial Park on Lake Huron. That will be in July. Following that, we're going to have it move to Long Point Provincial Park on Lake Erie. And from there, it will move to Lake Ontario and Sandbanks Provincial Park in Prince Edward County. And then it will wrap up at the end of the season in about September at some point. It will be at Darlington Provincial Park, also on the north shore of Lake Ontario.
Well, that's a busy summer. Are you able to track how many kilometers this thing will drive over the beach?
We do plan to do that. Yeah, we're hoping to have sort of a map drawn out and have dates for when it's moving. We have a great trailer, so people might spot it on the highway. It's got branding for the robot on it.
Great. Does it have a Twitter feed or anything?
That's a good plan.
There you go. You got to get on Instagram. That's what I'm told. Yeah. In a dream world, how many of these would you have in 10 years?
Oh, goodness. That's an excellent question. I think we want to make sure, because it's a mobile technology, it can actually move quite far, but we would love to make sure that it's covering as much distance as it can, because we know how effective it is at removing plastic. And we know that the Great Lakes aren't the only place that is, having an issue with plastic pollution. All of our freshwater systems are. So I think a fleet of them would be fantastic, and they could work to complement each other, and we could make a much more significant impact.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a question that's a little off topic, Melissa? Obviously, the protection of the Great Lakes has been something for a long time that's been done on both sides of the border in tandem, working together. Have you found in the last few months with the ongoing trade war that that's impacted any of the efforts in working together with the Americans on protecting our Great Lakes?
I don't think that anyone is ever going to think that our Great Lakes shouldn't be protected. So I think efforts are definitely ongoing. We take part in a number of binational initiatives that have sort of doubled down on commitment to ensure that this isn't an issue in the midst of everything else that's going on in the world. So I think it's in discussion, but I don't see anything changing in terms of everyone's commitment to ensuring that we protect our Great Lakes.
All right, there's Melissa DeYoung, CEO of Pollution Probe. Thanks for this, Melissa, and congrats on the launch of the BeBot.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
I almost feel like we've had two hockey-themed shows in the last 2 days. Charlie Angus, elbows up, and now a Zamboni-like machine that's cleaning beaches.
That could be the drinking game for the show, to see how that episode relates to hockey.
All right. Bad segue, but I'm going to take advantage of it. Speaking of hockey, the great Don Cherry signed off from his podcast for the final time, 91 years old.
Yeah, that was the figure that shocked me when I read the guy. I know, 91 years old. I didn't listen to any of his podcasts, but obviously I know he was still going strong, and more than 300 episodes, I think, of his podcast.
Yeah, Don Cherry's Grapevine since August 2023, producing 313 episodes in total. His son, Tim, also co-host on the show, said that the finale, by the finale, it had racked up over 6.5 million downloads.
That just shows the staying power of Don Cherry. Love him or hate him, he had a huge following, and people wanted to hear what he had to say about hockey.
Absolutely. And speaking of love them, so far, first piece of fan mail, Jeff writes, I'm a big fan, just watch your new show, love it, love the brick, keep it up.
That's nice. What's the email address people can reach us at?
Closer look at villagemedia.ca.
Awesome.
And we should also mention our social channels.
Let's do it.
TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X.
Yep.
We're all over the place.
Yeah, and our producer, Derek Turner, is all over that, making sure we have lots of interesting snippets from the show on those venues. Is that what you call them?
Platforms.
Those platforms, yeah.
We don't have to do any TikTok dances, though, do we?
You never know what
right.
could happen. I always say we do serious shows and not so serious shows.
Let's not rule it out.
I'm telling you, Scott, it's Tuesday. Episode 2.
Yep.
We've done 2. We have 3 more to go this week.
2 for 2.
I'm enjoying the daily format.
All right. Same. Let's get out of here.
You don't sound like you are.
I'm excited. I love it.
All right.
I do.
right.
I honestly do.
All right.
Closer look at villagemedia.ca if you'd like to reach out, much like Jeff did. And we thank him again for that. That's it for us. Thanks for your time tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 across the Village Media Network and, of course, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. For all of us at Village Media, thanks for watching.